y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Thank y'all so much for tapping back in to see what I have to say. I promise y'all, it truly does mean the world to me. But with that being said, what we're talking about this regulatory shift that's happening in America, but we're also talking about how they're directly going to affect our regulatory compliant projects that we're using, working alongside of now governments, showing things like a hedera and a Quant and a XRP and a XLM and XDC and things like a Jasmine and a V-Chain and IOTA and DAG, like these regulatory compliant projects, your ADAs, like understand truly what is being laid out right in front of us, okay, you guys? But in this particular video, I am showing y'all literally, we've already went through the Genius Act coming out of the Senate, which was the stablecoin regulation. I've already went over the Stable Act coming out of the House, which is the House's stablecoin regulation. I've already went over the Clarity Act coming out of the House, which is the House market structure regulation. Well, in this video, we are now talking about the Senate and its market structure regulation. Understand, y'all, this stuff is happening bipartisanly. The first time they have voted on anything bipartisan in 7 years. Truly understand what is happening, because we cannot lose this race of the fourth industrial revolution, which is blockchain and distributed ledger technologies. Understand what's being laid out right in front of our faces, you guys. But here we go. Inside this first video, it is the actual news. I'm going to show you what is being shown, because this matters, because they are indoctrinating their institutional investor. They are now letting them know that this space is safe for you to now start deploying your generational wealth into. There's going to be this massive wealth transfer, you guys. Follow me on this, because I'm always going somewhere. These ISO gems, that's what they are. They're gems. Here we go, this first video, and I'll be right back coming from Crypto World.
Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Senator Tim Scott, chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, says legislation to establish rules for U.S. crypto markets will be finished by the end of September. Speaking at an event yesterday with Trump crypto advisor Bo Hines and Subcommittee on Digital Assets Chair Cynthia Lummis, Senator Scott stressed that the new deadline is possible for the bill, saying it works in a bipartisan fashion. He added that making sure there are clear instructions and guiding principles for the legislation are priorities. Senator Scott also agreed with President Trump that the House should quickly sign off on the stablecoin bill the Senate passed last week, saying it's in the best interest of the American people. This week, Senators Scott and Lummis introduced principles for the bill meant to provide a legal framework for digital assets. The bill aims to provide clear rules of the road for when digital assets are regulated by the CFTC as a commodity or the SEC as a security.
Now, y'all just saw that. Understand truly what's being laid out right in front of our faces. We are building laws in this country so that the distributed ledger technology sector in America can flourish. And you have these regulatory compliant projects that have already cemented themselves in so many global organizations. It's not even funny. Like, for real, like it's actually mind blowing, to be honest. But anyway, so here is Senator Tim Scott. That meeting that he just reported on, I'm getting ready to bring y'all the actual meeting so y'all can hear what these lawmakers are saying in regards to codifying law around the things that we hold, and understand what the codifying of that law, the solidification of the technology, what that's going to mean for the assets that you hold. Whew. Here we go. Here is Senator Tim Scott, and I will be right back.
Thank you all for hanging out with us for a few minutes here as we talk about the next iteration of our making America the crypto capital of the world. I take that mandate from President Trump as a serious mandate that we will accomplish, that we have the great opportunity to see America take back what has always been ours, which is to be the economic powerhouse in the world. And I think the next iteration of our economy includes digital assets in a way that no one could have imagined 5 years ago, or someone did, but it wasn't me. And I want to thank Bo, the executive director for the White House, for coming over and really moderating a conversation about this. But before you start the conversation in earnest, When you think about the success that is potentially in store for not only America, but for the world because of the Genius Act signing into law, what would you say to that?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to thank you, Chairman Scott. I want to thank you, Senator Lummis, for all of your hard work that you've put into ensuring that the U.S. will become the crypto capital of the world. I mean, the president's given a clear mandate. He wants to be the Bitcoin superpower and the crypto capital. I think we're well on our way of achieving that due to the hard work that you've put in over here. And as it relates to Genius, I mean, you're talking about an enormous unlock. You're talking about revolutionizing the financial system in a way that we haven't seen in decades. Updating archaic payment rails, you're looking at instant settlement times, cost-effective transactions, complete transparency. You're also talking about something that basically secures U.S. dollar global dominance for decades to come. You're looking at a world in which the U.S. dollar might be the only fiat currency that exists in 2 to 3 decades. That's how important this is. And you know, it's a testament to your leadership over here to push this forward. We look forward to the House taking this up and sending it over to the President's desk. And then we look forward to moving on to market structure and giving the industry the clarity they need to build and innovate here in the United States. And with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, thank you. Let me just say of the chairwoman of our Committee on Digital Assets, Cynthia, thank you for your leadership on such an important topic that I do believe that Bo hit the nail on the head. I wish I had a recorder. I'm sure that someone else does, because what you just said, I think, is powerful, revolutionary, is what we're talking about with the Genius Act. And the next iteration, the market structure, I think is incredibly important as we talk through those market principles and look at the Clarity Act. But if we get just the Genius Act right, it can have powerful impact. But for the market to function completely, we need both. And that's why I think it's important from my perspective as the guy that will at least guide be part of the glide path for the market structure to come to fruition. I want to set a timeline, Cynthia, or I should say Senator Chairwoman Lummis, of seeing the market structure completed before the end of September. I think that is a realistic expectation. Don't you think so, Senator Lummis, Chairwoman Lummis?
Well, yes, sir. You're the chairman, and we will do as you wish. We will make sure that we're ready to do that. We put out the guidelines for a framework of the overarching principles in a market structure bill. We had a hearing on it this week. We will take those guidelines and work with legislation that was drafted in the House, as well as the Lummis-Gillibrand bill that has been out for 4 years. And we will sift through the principles of both that adhere to our guiding and overarching principles. We'll have a bill draft that we can hopefully put out before the August recess. Then mark it up in September and have it where you want it.
Great.
As you can see, these lawmakers are gun-ho. They need this stuff to Trump's desk by literally, you guys, September. Like, understand that we're already, like, as of today, as of me filming this, we are 1 day away from July. So by the time this airs, it will already be July. Understand that this year is going by so fast. September, we're going to blink, and September is going to be here, and this is going to be law in this country because November is going to blink, and then now it is ISO 222 to go live of that, which is the global messaging standard for sending money instantly. And they are using distributed ledger technologies for their ledger capabilities and the transactional capabilities because it is faster and it is cheaper, it is more secure. Understand what is happening right in front of our faces, you guys, the rollout. This is something that generations will use after us. What's literally being laid right now today will literally be in place for, think about this. The last time this happened was 50 years ago. Think about how many people have come and gone in the last 50 years, but this messaging standard that we currently have now has been in place since then. So now understand, if this is getting an upgrade after 50 years, how long that upgrade will actually be in place before it is actually replaced. We're talking decades of infrastructure is being laid right now, you guys. Truly, truly understand and see that this infrastructure is being laid and codified by law. Think about this. The Federal Reserve Act went into place, and that made it law that a private company, because y'all listen, the Federal Reserve is not a governmental entity, nor is it federal in any way. It is a private company that has sole ownership by law that they are the only ones that can generate American currency. They have a couple other things like the interest rates and the labor market. I won't even go into all that right now, but understand that they made it law that a private company, by signing the Federal Reserve Act of 1914, now understand that we literally are getting ready to get law. We're talking about the Genius Act. We're talking about the Clarity Act. We're talking about the Stable Act. We're talking about whatever this new act that they're now pushing through the Senate is going to be. And this is cementing law. So when things like programmable payments go into place, and whoever the standard is for those programmable payments, like a Quant network, it is now law. When those things like different ledgers and different, as far as knowing your customer or certain safeguards or certain parameters, and you have something like a hedera, where the regulatory compliancy is built into the network. Understand truly what is being laid out right in front of our faces. When you have something like a XRP that is tied to a Ripple, that have more banking partnerships globally than you can even think straight. Truly understand what is being laid out right in front of our faces with these ISO gems that we hold, you guys. I promise you. Follow me on this because I'm always going somewhere. But more from this interview, and I will be right back.
We'll have a few questions to you guys. Looking forward to fleshing some of this out. And one question you've already answered, which is timeline for market structure. I think it's extremely important. But let's hop right into it if you guys are ready. So, Senators, the Genius Act marks a major milestone for stablecoin regulation in the digital assets industry. It's now all systems go with comprehensive market structure legislation. Why do you think it's important for Congress to pass standalone market structure legislation? You've obviously answered the timeline question, but what do you think the ramifications are if Congress fails to act here?
I'll just say that there can be no failure to act on market structure. Market structure has to happen in order for America, and I say this sincerely, and not simply because it was a campaign promise made, but it's actually keeping that promise is really helpful for the notion of democratization. It is impossible for us to give greater access to people who grew up as I did in poverty in a single-parent household. If democratization to me means lowering the cost for single moms and for other folks and increasing access. The one thing we can see, I was talking to a group of Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises, and they said that Genius Act is like a 3% increase in their profits overnight. And so getting market structure done means that we're also talking about setting the stage, this global stage for the innovators of the world to descend upon America, because certainty and predictability is the path to greatness in any business. It doesn't matter what it is. Every single business needs certainty and they need predictability. Under the Biden administration, they had the exact opposite. They would spend, those in the digital asset industry would spend a lot of money getting a lawyer to present this is what will work in the market here in America, just to have Gensler come back and poo-poo on it, so to speak, and go in an opposite direction. And so enforcement actions is not the way to create predictability in the marketplace. And I'm very thankful that we now have an administration not only committed to America being the crypto capital of the world, but giving innovators, giving consumers the kind of certainty and predictability that will lead to this nation being the leader on it. Senator Lummis?
This asset class has so much potential as part of a diversified allocation for individual portfolios, for retirement funds, for endowment funds, and for a strategic reserve in some cases, depending on the asset. So having digital money, which is what certainly Bitcoin is in keeping with where we are in our 21st century trajectory. It started with the internet. The NSA wanted to keep the internet proprietary to government. And finally, individuals, the cypherpunks, the cryptographers, won through the courts the right to use it in the private sector by delineating cryptography as protected free speech. That's what enabled digital assets to exist. And now we're at the next place where we need to enable digital assets to be used all over the world to get money to each other faster and cheaper. And as was mentioned about, was it Chick-fil-A that you said you met with?
KFC.
Okay.
Microphone works. Wow.
It's the same with the convenience stores. You know, they were required to stay open during COVID because they were deemed an essential service, and yet their profit margins are minuscule. And this can be a game changer for convenience stores and grocery stores and businesses that have very small profit margins. It allows them to get money from me when I buy lettuce right back into purchasing more merchandise to send to stores and do it faster and cheaper for everyone. It helps the consumer, it helps the business person, and interestingly, stablecoins specifically, because they are 100% US dollar backed, are backed by US treasuries. And one of the 20 biggest holders of treasuries in the world currently is a stablecoin company. And we will see more stablecoin businesses come into that top 20 holders of US treasuries, using those treasuries to back their stablecoins. In doing that, that creates a stronger, more robust market for US treasuries and helps, once again, assure, as Bo said, that the US dollar continues to dominate worldwide.
Well, one of the things I thought about, Bo, is Cynthia was talking, was the importance of really pausing for a second and focusing on what you said, which was revolutionary. Yeah. If the Genius Act requires backing of every dollar in stable coins requires $1 in reserves, our treasuries, $2 trillion is the number that I think Bill Hagerty mentioned. It could be an explosive opportunity, number one. Number two, I saw Bill Pulte over at the FHFA suggested that he's going to lead in making sure that as you're looking for a home, that the digital asset portfolio that you have, specifically, I think he may have mentioned Bitcoins, can be used as a part of what helps you determine your credit worthiness for home ownership. So we're talking about multiple steps in the right direction. That's why I wanted you to repeat what you said about the revolutionary opportunity that we're discussing today. This is not just another piece of legislation. This is not just another step in the right direction. This is actually a revolution that could happen economically in our country.
No, I think that's exactly right. I mean, this legislation, stablecoin legislation, acts as the foundation for pretty much everything else to be built upon in this space. When you update the payment rails, you're creating a world in which you can entertain tokenized public securities in 24/7 markets. And that's why I stated what I did earlier. If you want to access our capital markets, you're going to have to use a dollar-backed stable. But we certainly recognize, and that's why I appreciate your commitment to this timeline on market structure. This is one piece of the puzzle. We need to give clarity to the rest of the folks in this industry, and we're certainly keen on delivering on that. And the president's made it extremely clear that he wants to see both of these bills hit his desk. But again, just thankful for the hard work and thankful for your commitments there.
Now, you just heard from Cynthia Lummis during that same Congress hearing. Understand, y'all. Understand what is truly being laid out right in front of our faces, and you have these regulatory compliant projects that are working alongside of the regulators because they have been saying it out loud by different Twitter posts, showing themselves in these regulatory body places, by different announcements and news articles that have been coming out literally for the past 36 plus months in regard to some of these amazing projects that we hold, and to know that we're right now at the precipice of it all becoming massive reality, because true mass adoption is going to be everyone will be utilizing distributed ledger technologies, and only a very small subsection of the actual population will understand what they are using. They will just know that they have a digital wallet that was supplied by their bank, and they can now send payments instantly. That's all they will know. And they are using this thing called a stable coin. That's all they gonna know, y'all. I promise you on this. And to be on the other side of that, knowing the players that are facilitating the transactions, minting the stable coins, programming the payments of these entire countries, literally economies, truly see what's being laid out right in front of our faces, you guys. I promise you, follow me on this, because I am always going somewhere. I truly appreciate y'all tuning in all the time. I appreciate y'all tapping in and getting these gems that's being dropped. Okay, you guys, because this stuff matters. So you made it all the way through this entire video. Type in the word market structure, because the market structure regulation is definitely getting ready to get pushed right alongside of the stable coin regulation to Trump's desk by September, because we have a global standard going live in November. Truly understand what's happening right in front of our faces. Until the next time, y'all already know, type in market structure. I appreciate y'all. Peace out.